One early morning, Buddha was giving a sermon to his disciples. He brought a handkerchief, a silk handkerchief, and then he tied 5 knots on the handkerchief. Then he asked his disciple, "Has the handkerchief changed?" Now all his disciples were trained to some extent, and their thoughts were on the philosophical side. And they knew when Buddha asks, it will never be a mundane, day-to-day answer possible. So they applied their thinking philosophically and then came up with an answer. And they said, the handkerchief possibly has changed. And the basis for their thinking was the knots which were there didn't come from outside. You never see an individual knot floating around in the air like a fly and come and sit on the handkerchief. No. So the knot does not have an independent existence. It does not come from outside. If you look at the appearance of the handkerchief, it has changed. But the basic nature, the material with which it's built up, hasn't changed. The knot itself is still the silk, whether it's knotted or unknotted. The silk never changes. So that's why the disciples answered, possibly changed. And then Buddha said, how do I remove the knots? He started pulling the handkerchief at both hands. So the disciple said, no, by doing that, you're only making the knots worse. So Buddha said, then how do I remove the knots? So they said, by doing anything from outside does not remove the knots. We have to find out exactly how the knots were created. And then little by little, the silk handkerchief has to unwind itself. And the same process that was used to tie the knots, which were nothing but superimposition of one side of the handkerchief onto the other side, with the interactions of one side of the handkerchief to the other side of the handkerchief created the knot. Granted, handkerchief is not smart. This was just an example. Similarly, this vast consciousness that's within us is responsible for creating the experience of sansara, the world that as we know, by the superimpositions of one part of the consciousness onto the other part of the consciousness. But these knots that we have of the anxiety, the grief, the greed, complexes, superiority, inferiority, anger, lust. All this are because of the interactions of the one end of the consciousness to the other end of the consciousness. Every single object, every single animal, humans, rivers, the mountains, these are nothing but one single consciousness. There was an interesting show on Nova called The Fabric of the Space, where they have accepted that space is nothing but like a fabric. After 2,500 years, the demonstration of the handkerchief shown by Buddha to his disciples comes alive scientifically. Space can be bent. Space can be warped and physically distorted by the objects which are floating around in it. Each planet, each star has its own gravitational pull, and that distorts the space. So the empty space that we used to think is not empty anymore. It is full of dark matter, dark energy. It's a fascinating universe we have. Changing colors of the tree in this time of the year again shows the drama of life. When we look at a tree and its green leaves, what do you think? You think the leaves are green. Think again. The leaves are green only because of the light that falls on it. The sunlight, which is pure white light, it falls on the leaves. Leaves holds on to all the colors except the green, and it deflects this green color. And that also is possible only because our eyes have rods and cones, which are the structures of the retina that we have within our eye. And these structures are able to differentiate the colors, all the 7 colors and multitude of combinations of colors. Because of our inner makeup is able to see the green color. The color green is hidden within our eyes. If you shut off the light, the leaves lose their color. Leaves actually don't have color without the sunlight. In the dark, everything is dark, with no colors. If the green color was with the leaf, it should look green without the light also. But it doesn't. So it just has a potential to look green, but it is not green. The greenness is in our eyes. Next time the situation arises, greenness appears, which was already within us. That's how fascinating this world is. Similarly, We blame others for the stress within us. We do not realize that the same situation may not be stressful for somebody else. Husband and wives can fight for 2 hours, 3 hours. Then the husband gets tired. He goes to bed. He says, I can't take this anymore. I have to go to work tomorrow. But wife keeps on thinking about what happened. And she might say, he said this, I only said this, but he said this. The words of husband keeps on hammering in her brain, and she doesn't sleep all night. Same experience observed by 2 people. One has a different take on it, and the other one has a totally different take on it. So what's the problem? The inner makeup of the mind is responsible for creating the stress within us, just the way we create the green color within us. So all the problems are within us. If you see a beautiful face outside, your idea of beauty is what's responsible to see the beauty outside. If you live in an African jungle, where there may be people living in, the tribesmen living in the jungle, over the period of thousands of years, they have developed their own concepts of beauty. And their beauty may be piercing the lower lip and putting big discs hanging on the lower lip as a sign of beauty, putting rings in their neck, around their neck, and stretching the neck right from the time when the child is young, and keep adding those rings around. And we have seen pictures of so many tribesmen having different concepts of beauty. So the beauty is within us, just like they say. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So the same way, the stress is our creation. And in stress, we interact with the other part of consciousness. If you see a flower, which is a creation of the consciousness, the whole universe was created from this consciousness. Every single object, including us. And when we look at it, we, in our mind, we have had different experiences. And based on these experiences, our likes and dislikes have been created. But it's all within us. With meditation, we start clearing our knots, which are within us. They are not outside. The outside world, it is as it is. But our inside mind has been knotted up. So the take of today's message is to go within, analyze your mind. Whatever your problems are with life are definitely your problems. They are not real. They are created by the superimpositions within our mind. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas have interacted and created an environment within us which sees the world differently. The world that we see, which is full of suffering, according to many, as soon as you die and you're buried, all your ideas, thoughts, beliefs, they're also buried with you. You take them with you. But beliefs are beliefs, that's not the reality. So changing the inner environment can change the world for you. All your ideas and beliefs can be removed by transcending the mind. And the mind can be transcended by repeated practice of dhyan, where you become an observer of the mind. With this process, little by little, the clarity starts showing up within you. The consciousness that has created you, you will realize that it was your mind which was dividing the whole world into good, bad, stressful, not stressful, etc. But transcending the mind makes you realize that these were your ideas, your beliefs, your vrittis and vasanas. Vrittis are tendencies of your mind. Vasanas are your desires. Is what's creating this world, different for every single person. So transcending this will bring the simplicity and elegance of existence, which was always there before even the universe was created with the Big Bang. The simplicity that you see in the child, you can have it right now if you choose to. The innocence is yours. Innocence comes with joy and happiness. Of course, children are joyful and happy, but they are hiding their vrittis and vasanas from previous life, which are their tendencies. As they grow older, they start expressing. And the childhood state, the innocent state that they have, they are not aware of it. But you can be aware of your innocence, which is your true nature of yourself, your soul. And by doing this, you can also have a perpetual bliss. So stay within through the meditation on a regular basis, and the knots that you have created for yourself, and you are blaming the sansar, which is the outside world. Think again. Change the direction of your thoughts. Apply them to your own inner makeup, just the way the greenness was within you. Your stress, anxiety, suffering is all within us. Through the power of observation, analyze them. Remove your knots slowly with repeated practice. And then, just the way removing the knots, the silk handkerchief comes back to its own nature. You can also have simplicity of your own nature. Have a good day.